You know, we approach from the very beginning, Harriet is not a movie about slavery, it's a movie about freedom and empowerment. Because I do think there's some slave fatigue, I mean, in the marketplace. And so there's people, again, I think are being very pleasantly and empoweringly surprised when they see the movie, because it really is about, you know, like I said, empowerment and one woman's drive to change her life in the world. And so people, like, they don't see them. Again, that's because they have the anonymity. They haven't seen the movie. They don't even know what it's about. And they're already saying, well, we don't want to see this and we don't want to see that.
Tell me about the biggest fight you've ever waged to get something made or get something you needed for a project, and, you know, one that you thought, maybe I'm not going to be able to do this.
Of how many? I mean, every one. I was like, which one? Which is the hardest of all?
Where do we start?
Right. I mean, listen, this movie took me 7 years to bring to the screen. So anytime you're telling a story that may be a little bit out of the mainstream, it's difficult. I mean, and listen, when you're telling a story about a historical Black woman, it was really tough. You know, 7 years ago, people were glazed over when I brought it up. And as times changed, you know, as Hollywood changed, as the world changed, people became more receptive to the idea that a movie starring a Black woman who was and will be someday on the face of the $20 bill might be commercial, had the potential to be. So
It took time.
Took time.
Curious, you know, there's been some discussion about the value of a star. How important is it to have that name leading your movie? Does it still need a big movie star to get a movie made these days?
Depends on the movie.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, Harriet Tubman, and it was about finding the right actor.
Right.
Because the movie lives and breathes on that performance. So I'd actually saw Cynthia in The Color Purple before the Tony nomination, blew me away, and I was like, this is Harriet Tubman. I mean, just the breadth of her talent was clear, the physicality was right, everything about her was right, and when I sat with her a couple weeks later, I was like, this is our actress. And it was a risk in that sense, but it wasn't a risk because she was the one.
Movies are not easy to get made. They sit in development for a long time. You have to fight every step of the way. Tell me how you know a movie is worth fighting for.
You know, first and foremost, you have to entertain, because you have to get people into the theater. But for me, this is almost a pulpit, and there are messages that I want to get into the world that I think are important, that will inspire people, that will, you know, maybe even change somebody's life. So, you know, with Harriet, for instance, it's about a woman who couldn't read, couldn't write, was destined to be a slave her entire life, and decided, no, that's not going to be my destiny. And if people can, you know, get that message that they can control what happens in their lives, that's an important thing, and that's worth fighting for. Basically, you push, 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 don't give up, complete determination, and then you also have to know when it's time to just say, okay, you know what, time to pivot.
Yeah.
Like, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Because sometimes you can be pushing yourself over the cliff, right? And usually I have learned, and this is where the experience comes into play, that when I get to that point, I instinctively know, take one, just stand down for a second. And where I'm gonna end up has always been better than where I would have gone. Hi, I'm Debra Martin Chase.
Hi, I'm Dan Lin.
I'm Peter Chernin.
Hi, I'm Charlize Theron, and thank you for watching.
Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for watching the Hollywood Reporter Roundtable.
Hollywood Reporter Roundtable.
Roundtables on YouTube.
On YouTube.